Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is just, again, separating fact from fiction, okay? Now, Stephen M. Colbert is definitely a source that you could trust. I can tell you that for a fact, okay? But Stephen sometimes gets caught up in rumors, and I don't like that. But nonetheless, I just want to go through this. He's talking about Snyder's alleged firing changes everything we know about Justice League. Again, the word alleged is very important. And he goes on to hypothetical situations. That is to say, he does not know for a fact if Zack Snyder was fired. So it says, in May 2017, it was revealed that tragedy had struck the Snyder family, as Snyder would be stepping down from the director's chair, and Whedon would oversee additional rewrites, reshoots, the rest of post-production. The movie that was definitely released was dogged by critics for its tonal mismatch, underdeveloped characters, poor CGI, and a number of other issues, resulting in a franchise low box office haul. It didn't have to do with the critics. Now, a new revelation alleges that Snyder was actually fired. Okay? That's allege. Long before his official departure from the movie. If true, this information sheds light on a number of behind-the-scenes rumors and calls into question a good deal about the narrative surrounding Justice League's reshoots. Alright? So basically, he had already debunked this and Mark Hughes, but he's saying that there's a narrative that he was fired. Here's my thing. If Zack Snyder's fired from Justice League, right? If he's fired from Justice League, let's just really think about this. If he was fired from Justice League, why the hell is Zack Snyder still posting up pictures of Justice League after he's fired? I'm just asking. Right? Why was he promoting the movie? If you're fired from a movie, then you don't have any business promoting it. Unless Zack Snyder is still pushing the movie because he's not fired, but he's trying to help promote the movie from the sidelines. Because he removed everything from his Twitter account, if you do remember. But he's still on Vero was posting up this stuff. And this is after he's removed from the project, right? I mean, this was gorgeous, man. He had us all amped to see Justice League because he showed us the Amazon pictures and stuff. And yeah, he's a huge fan, but still, I don't think he would just allow that to happen just like that, be fired, and just be still engaged with the project. I just don't see that happening. And so I don't believe Zack Snyder was fired. Mark Hughes already debunked that. I'm surprised Stephen M. Colbert is turning around trying to engage that. And the other weird thing is Stephen now takes that as if it's fact. And he talks about Zack Snyder wanting you to believe in the Snyder Cut. And now he said if that was true. And now he comes here and he says this. He says, Zack Snyder may have dropped his biggest hint about the existence of Snyder Cut yet. The road to the release of Justice League is a complicated story, but the full details are slowly coming out. But the one thing that has been made abundantly clear is that Joss Whedon's reshoots resulted in a theatrical cut that was completely different from Zack Snyder's originally intended before he was fired from the project. Now, he's actually saying he was fired. Now, you said maybe that's true, and then you come and you say he's fired? Come on now. Which one is it? And so I don't like that. I don't like the insincerity. He's not sure that he was fired, but yet now you're saying he was fired. You know what I mean? Don't do that. You're doing clickbait. So that's something I didn't like. And no, Joss Whedon's project is not completely different from what Zack Snyder originally intended. It's not completely different because the majority of it is Zack Snyder's stuff. What I believe, though, is there's a lot of, well, not a lot of stuff, but significant amounts of stuff inside of the movie that were left out. For instance, and I find this really good. I really love talking about this. Zack Snyder confirms the cyborg Easter egg in Batman v Superman. And let me just get to the point here. Again, this is really cool. You guys really love this. The reveal comes in the wake of both Snyder and cyborg actor Ray Fisher sharing photos from a Justice League scene that featured Victor Stone playing a football game, which was only briefly shown in the final cut of the movie, right? It was just a picture, right? But here's the interesting thing about it. On Twitter, Uber Kryptonian responded to the image of the football scene with a quote from Batman v Superman. And Snyder responded, "Someone's paying attention," confirming a connection between the football scenes in Batman v Superman and Victor Stone's football career prior to the terrible accident that set him on the path to becoming cyborg. And you can just go to this. This is Twitter. Let me go to it. And he said, "I posted Perry White's quote from BVS and Zack's latest Justice League post of Cyborg's football flashback." And this is what he wrote back. And so let me just click on this so you can see. He said, okay. So Zack had said believe, right? And Walter DeRocha said underdog dreams dashed. 10 yards between Gotham and glory. Alright, and I wanted to actually talk about this with you guys, because I believe that the scene where the police were looking at the Gotham versus, I believe it was Gotham versus Metropolis, and Gotham lost, and then Perry White says 10 yards between Gotham and glory. Actually, that scene seemed to be Victor Stone must have been in that football match, because Gotham was playing against Metropolis, and Zack Snyder says someone was paying attention, right? So basically, the football match that they had in BVS had something to do with Cyborg, and that was going to be recapped in Justice League, and they did a whole set piece on that. So that would have been really cool to see. It would have been a follow up from BVS. And if you do remember, it's a little bit different. Clark Kent was watching football in Man of Steel. Now it was Kansas, I think, versus, I can't remember who they were playing, but it was very interesting that in that world we have all this football going on. But now we may have been watching, the police may have been watching a scene where Cyborg, well, not Cyborg, but Victor Stone was actually involved in that football match, and not too much before Superman died. A little bit before, you know, within that 2-year span, somewhere there, Cyborg was born. Okay, Cyborg was born. So when those policemen were watching that football match to when Batman finally gets the kryptonite, fights Superman, all of that, somewhere in between that point, Victor Stone died and Cyborg was born. Okay, so I thought that was really cool, and it would have been nice to have seen that in Justice League. Again, I'm not saying that those, I mean, that was a whole set piece that Zack Snyder did with his son and everything, and they shot it. I would have loved to seen that whole thing, and I think we will see it, because I believe we'll get the Snyder Cut. I do believe we'll get the Snyder Cut, and when we get the Snyder Cut and you guys see that it's the same story with more stuff in it, and that's the thing I think a lot of people don't get. It's the same story. Yes, Whedon reshot the ending somewhat, but it's the same story, just with much more oomph. It's like what Zack Snyder was saying about BVS. You know, you have a television show, it's got less in it, it's less edgy. Then you got the, you know, you may see a theatrical cut, but it's still not exactly what the director wanted. And then you have the director's cut. So that's what you got. Whedon just basically chopped down Justice League. That's all he did. And yes, Warner Bros. Took off some edge from it to make it more family friendly. That's it. And color palettes, yeah. Some of the color palettes, not all of them. All right? Because I really like the gorgeous color, the full color palette in Justice League. And I believe Justice League was going to have that gorgeous color palette that was in Man of Steel. So I truly don't believe Zack Snyder was going to have it color deprived. He was working on getting that color palette up to mark. And I love the color palette in Justice League, by the way. I just believe that for the majority of Justice League, I love the color palette. I think it's coming down to the end of Justice League that something went wrong. It was supposed to look more creepy. It was supposed to look more rich. It was supposed to be more rich reds. If the sky was looking pinkish orange, it was supposed to look red. And it was supposed to be more deeper, darker, cryptic, more scary looking colors for how the the alien apocalyptic landscape was. Kind of like how, look at the beautiful colors we saw for the Great War. And you see how scary that thing looked. It was supposed to look like that, you know, and we didn't get that. We got something else. So that's my major critiques with Justice League. It was the color palette coming down to the end, that Gupti Gaur purple stuff, that it did look a little bit more cryptic and a little bit more scary, but the way how it moved didn't move so well. I thought Steppenwolf looked good, but I thought that his movements at certain points in time did not look good, especially coming down to the end. So that was one of my pet peeves with the thing. And again, these minor things compared to the story and how much we got out of the story. I can't wait to see the Snyder Cut. That is probably I mean, I was so freaking hyped for Justice League when I saw that sneak peek. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say this again for folks. That sneak peek is the pinnacle of trailers I've ever seen. It got me so giddy. It was crazy. I'm looking forward to Zack Snyder's cut. I am looking forward to that stuff. There no way on God's green earth Warner Bros. Is going to pass up this opportunity. It's got to come out. The Snyder Cut has to come out. It may come out next year, early next year. Whenever it comes out, I'm there. Day one, I'm buying that cut, because I hope they play it in the cinemas too. And BVS, the colors were washed out because BVS was about a lean time for heroes. Okay? So please, people, Please do not try to equate BVS with what Zack Snyder would bring in Justice League. He was not. That's why he got a different cinematographer, for crying out loud. Okay? It's supposed to echo Man of Steel. Yes, you would have gotten more blue color palette, and yes, you would have gotten, but it would have been much richer than BVS was in terms of color palette. It definitely was, because that's what Zack Snyder was going for, and I'm pretty sure Joss Whedon knew that. Again, I do not like how people are bashing Joss Whedon. I do not like how they're bashing Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers and Joss Whedon tried their best to do what they could when Zack wasn't there. I am sticking to that. I do not believe Warner Brothers, they were trying to get a paycheck. I don't believe all of that nonsense. I just don't believe it. And I believe they wanted, just like with Wonder Woman, they wanted a movie that had a short runtime, and they already knew how controversial Zack Snyder's movies were, so they were trying their best to keep from a big lashback. And instead, what happened was, we had people prodding along in the media, prodding along. And it's the people who were injecting all this negative. I tell you, Warner Brothers needs to do something about their PR. That's their problem. PR is their problem. They didn't do it with Patty Jenkins. Nobody attacked Patty Jenkins' movie because Patty Jenkins stood up for what she believed in. She didn't know what the results was going to be, but she stood up for it. She didn't know if the critics were going to like her movie or not. But she stood up fiercely for her movie. And that's what we have to do. Zack Snyder needs to stand up fiercely for his movie. I love what David Ayer did, how he defended his movie. And David Ayer made a hell of a movie. Suicide Squad is still a hell of a movie as far as I'm concerned. It may not be the best DCU movie, it may be the least best DCU movie of the lot, but its concept and everything about it, I just recently watched pieces of it, is exceptional. David Ayer, kudos to you. And of course, you just recently did Bright, which is another really awesome movie. So, David Ayer, man, I love what you did with Suicide Squad. I don't care what nobody says, all right? And like I said before, the DCEU is bringing these totally new, refreshing concepts to light. I love the creative process, how they're very creative. I noticed Warner Brothers doesn't have really much on the cards when it comes to films coming up this year and their projects, and that's okay. But what I would say to people is, and I'm only focusing right now on the DCEU, and I'm not talking about nobody else. I want to say, you guys, you fans, have to back up the DCEU. You are the first line of defense. The fans who behave iffish about the DCEU, leave them alone. They're not true DCEU fans. Most of the people who are complaining about Zack Snyder and Zack Snyder's movies don't know what the hell they're talking about. Alright? Talking about you fall in love with BBS color palette and stuff. Zack Snyder is making film on different seasons. Okay? So Justice League was always going to have a rich color palette. Zack Snyder left the project, but if you just go and watch the sneak peek, you would see that the color palette was going to be rich anyway. That's why he used a different cinematographer for Justice League. I mean, come on, man. Anyways, man, I love this little discovery. I'm going to say this to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do not believe Zack Snyder was fired from the project. If he was fired from the project, he would not be talking on Vero. He wouldn't be doing those things because he know that he would never shut in hell. And Warner Brothers is continuously said over and over again that they want to have a good relationship with Zack Snyder and continue with him with other DC projects down the road. So that statement means that Zack Snyder is going to be a part of the DCEU. Never mind what people say. He is going to be a part of the DCEU. Also, I hear people panicking and worrying about the future of the DCEU. You don't have to worry about the future of the DCEU. Aquaman's going to be fine, and so will be Shazam. People were attacking David Sandberg, and David Sandberg has been standing up for himself. I love the guy, and you have to keep on. Warner Brothers and the DCEU are doing their own thing, and let's just keep with that and support it. You guys have to support these things. And I hear all kinds of foolish talk in the media. I don't listen to them. The only reason why Justice League didn't make as much money is because they succeeded in dividing the fan base. And there are some blind, stupid people out there that don't get that was Zack Snyder's film to the core. And Whedon tried to execute as best as he could all that Zack Snyder was doing. The fact that, okay, people are talking about there was a lot more jokes and all that stuff. Justice League was going to be jokey anyway, okay? You just look at Zack Snyder's blueprint on The Flash. You look at Zack Snyder's blueprint on Aquaman. It was going to be funny, okay? Cyborg, Batman, and Wonder Woman, they're not funny people, okay? So that wasn't going... But when it comes to the other characters, they were going to be funny, okay? Now, having said that, yes, Whedon put in some jokes that were not funny, as far as I'm concerned, okay? I saw where he put in his jokes. And there was some that were phenomenally funny. I love the Flash joke with the guy in the prison when he draws over the guy's face. Hilarious. Fantastic stuff by Whedon. What I'm going to say is this. Let's say Zack had done Justice League and Whedon had no part in it and was just Zack. Nobody could blame now. The critics panned the movie. It would have gotten probably 18% because it would have gotten panned. Okay? And in spite of that, we get, because the critics don't like Zack Snyder's style. In spite of that, we have DCEU fans strongly supporting the movie. Alright? You tell me. The movie may have made more. It might even cross $1 billion. But do you think people would have been more interested in the DCEU after Zack? Probably. Because I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers was like biting their fingers and toes because it was like they had an A-bomb there. They tried to hire Joss Whedon to smoothen out the waters, sort of PR. But it was a ticking time bomb. Because once you say Zack Snyder, it evokes some really horrible feelings by people. Okay? People that already didn't like Zack Snyder's BVS. Certain people. Not the majority of people. The majority of people enjoyed the movie. It was cool. But people in the industry, the critics and so on, they bashed the shit out of Zack Snyder's movie. I don't know why. Because Zack did an incredible movie. And at the end of the day, I don't know if they have something against Zack. Period. I think they have something against Zack. People in the industry, they can't be that caustic towards Zack's movies. No. These people in the industry have something against Zack. Now, in terms of, and I hold fast to that. I'm not even budging, okay? Because I know how these political people bullshit all the time. All right, just listen to John Campea. He's full of shit, a lot of shit. Okay, I'm calling names. I'm taking numbers because these guys, they're haters, but they pretend. Okay, I got one also in my comment section right now. Yeah, one of the people in my comment section. I know you're a hater. I know who you are. I know you're a Marvel fanboy, okay? But I let you comment on my videos. All right? Once you stay sober and you keep on asking questions, even though I know you're insincere with your question asking, I know who you are. I know you're a hater. Okay? So, I say all of these things to say that at the end of the day, now that we're past Justice League, now Warner Bros. Can kind of breathe a sigh of relief because they don't have to deal with the Zack Snyder story so much, right? Even though Zack was responsible for Wonder Woman. People are trying to distance themselves from that name Zack Snyder because it just brings too much conflict, all right? And that's the deal. But Zack's a cool dude. He's really cool. He's a really nice person. And if I was Zack Snyder right now, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's working on Justice League right now as we speak. But I would love to see his movie come out there and get out there. Just put out his stuff. It does not matter because DC's moving on a certain direction anyway. But here's the thing that Warner Brothers is worried about. They put out the movie and then these people blow it out of proportion again and they start talking foolishness. Even though the movie, it actually, at the end of the day, it may be 2 hours, 40 minutes long. And at the end of that, and the end of the day watching the movie, it's going to probably just got a couple more things added to it that the original movie didn't have. It's not that the original movie wasn't doing exactly what the movie that he has is doing. It's just that it has fewer stuff. That's what I basically think it is. I am not changing my mind on that unless I see facts. You show me facts. You know, I believe that it's just that Zack Snyder's cut will have more stuff in it than less. I feel that Warner Bros. Cut out things. And it's not as much as people think. It's not as much as people think that was cut out of the movie or rearranged. So that's all I got to say about that. Keeping it balanced all the time. I still maintain my opinion. You guys have a great one.